Thank you for clicking on this compilation. I have piled up 3 episodes about the most mysterious places and the history behind them. Please enjoy this video. And don't forget to like and comment on this video. I know I sound like a broken record, but it really helps the channel reach a bigger audience. Now, without further ado, let's get to it. Think of the most off-limit spots on Earth. Those secret locations that no one, no matter who they are, can step foot into. Today we're talking about them. Places you're absolutely barred from entering. Secret places? Like Treehouse Secret Place? What? No. I'm talking about serious places. High stakes, heavily guarded locations that are completely forbidden. Ah, got it. So like a VIP cookie jar. Seriously? Can we stay focused now? What? You can't take a joke now? Fine, I'll be quiet. For a bit. Right. Back to the forbidden. These are places where you can't go. No photos allowed, and what happens inside is a mystery to almost everyone. But here's the real question. Why all the secrecy? What could be so important? Welcome to Mysteries Unraveled, where we try to solve mysteries. Today we're diving into the most secret places in the world, and all the mystery theories swirling around them. You can't visit these spots without special clearance, and no one really knows what's happening inside. And the last one is an unexpected place. Naturally, when you don't give the public info, we just make it up. First on the list is Area 51. Whoa, we're getting right to the meat, huh? No warm-up? Yep, right to the meat. I mean, seriously, you can't talk about secret locations without mentioning Area 51. It's been an American obsession for over 50 years. Movies, books, TV shows, and of course, countless YouTube videos. I remember when some wild person got millions of people to RSVP to storm Area 51 back in 2019. Yeah, they basically broke the internet. Anyway, Area 51 in Rachel, Nevada, about 80 miles northwest of Las Vegas. It's a remote detachment of Edwards Air Force Base. So secret that the military denied it even existed for years, until they finally admitted it was real in 2013. But what's actually happening there? Built in 1955, originally by Lockheed Martin for testing the U-2 spy plane, although Area 51 isn't officially labeled top secret, the place is heavily protected, and yeah, deadly force is authorized. Meaning stay the fuck out. So what's going on there? Well, the official line is, for operation security reasons, we don't provide details about what goes on in the facility. The most popular theory, Area 51 is hiding the alien spacecraft that crashed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, along with the bodies of the pilots. Alien bodies, whoa! Right? Of course, the Air Force said it was just a weather balloon. Yeah, cause I totally trust our super honest government. Yeah, no, lots of people don't. The secret wasn't fully out until 1989, when Bob Lazar claimed he worked there and spilled that the military had been reverse engineering alien spacecraft for use in American military and space programs. A lot of people believed him. And think about it, technology advanced really fast in the second half of the 20th century. Look, 20 years before Roswell, Charles Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic in a single-engine plane. It was a massive deal. But 20 years after Roswell, we're launching satellites and landing people on the moon. Allegedly. Excuse me, what? Allegedly landed on the moon. Alright. We are launching satellites and allegedly landing people on the moon. Still, it's obvious something sparked this technological boom in the 50s and the 60s. Was it alien tech or something else? I know someone smart enough who write something in the comments below. Yeah, drop your theories in the comments. Was it alien or something we haven't even imagined yet? Next on the list, Menwith Hill. It's a Royal Air Force station in North Yorkshire, England. Originally, it was built to provide communications and intelligence support to the UK and the US. But in the 60s, operational control was handed over to the NSA, and that's when things got interesting. The NSA turned it into the largest electronic monitoring station in the world. Wait, monitoring? You mean spying? Exactly. And that's where Project Echelon comes in. It's a massive surveillance programs run by the Five Eyes, also known as the US, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the UK. Five Eyes, that's like the villain from James Bond's movies. What a coincidence, right? Anyway, the Five Eyes turned Echelon into a global system for intercepting private communications. We're talking mass surveillance, targeting high-threat individuals, corporations, even industrial espionage. Echelon is now this global network of spy stations that can tap into landlines, cell phones, computers, even bank accounts, and all the data stored in Echelon computers, which hold records of millions of peoples, companies, and even countries. Pulitzer Prize winner journalist Barton Gilman from the Washington Post summed it up. Secret legal authorities let the NSA sweep up the telephones, internet, and location records of entire populations. So every text message, phone call is logged. Well, that's the rumor. Then it gets added to files on the sender and the receiver, stored for later analysis. Is that even legal? Well, technically, no. Not in the US without a warrant, but Menwith Hill isn't in the US, so big loophole. Plus, officially, this project doesn't even exist. Of course it doesn't. Nothing to say here. Good day to you, sir. I said good day to you, sir. Oh, and guess who built a lot of stuff? Who? Lockheed Martin. I don't know about you, but really I'm freaking out. This company is really everywhere. I know, right? But really, what do you all think? Is Project Echelon real? Are you worried about government spying on your texts and screening your calls? Let us know in the comments below. And in the next one is really interesting. Alright, let's talk Mount Weather, the ultimate emergency operations center. Built in 1958, this high-security federal facility is part of the U.S. Continuity of Government Plan. Translation, it's where they send their highest-ranking civilian and government personnel when things go south. It's 564-acre fortress in Clark County, Virginia. During the Cold War, they designed it as a relocation site with two parts, the above-ground FEMA complex and a 600,000 square feet underground bunker. Wait, an underground bunker? That is as big as a city. Yep. Reportedly, it's fully self-contained. It got leaders, police, fire departments, its own set of laws. There's a hospital, dining and recreational areas, sleeping quarters. It got its own water system, emergency power plant, a TV and a radio studio for emergency broadcasting. People could survive there in total isolation for a year. Sounds like 2020 all over again. Too soon? Maybe, but true. Mount Weather is built to survive pretty much anything, conventional, chemical, biological, and even nuclear attacks. And though it's been around for over 60 years, the public knew almost nothing about it until 1974, when a TWA flight crashed nearby. Wait, so even government people didn't know it existed? Exactly. Most federal officials were clueless until then. But yeah, it's been used a couple of times. Mount Weather was activated on April 7, 2015, after a major power outage hit DC. So they really do use it. Who gets permission to go there? There is a list, but nobody really knows who's on the list. It's an exclusive club. So how do we get on that list? Well, you have to be important enough. So maybe they would pick us along with our subscribers. What do you guys think? Would you want to be on the Mount Weather list or take your chances on the outside? The Yaman and Kavisky Mountains. These sites are claimed by the US to be secret Russian nuclear facilities with underground bunkers. Why? Because satellites have picked up massive excavations projects there. Civil and military garrisons were built on site and eventually merged into the closed town of Gori. Hold on, what's a closed town? Right. A closed town is a place where travel in or out is restricted, like seriously restricted. You can't just show up there with your backpack and expect a warm welcome. Similar to the nuclear town in Los Alamos in the 1940s. So how many people live there? Estimates say around 30,000 military personnel and another 30,000 non-military. But here's the thing, no one's been in or out for over 20 years, so nobody really knows. Wait, 20 years? People didn't leave for 20 years? That's some serious lockdown. Yep. And Western countries have been asking Russia for years what's going on there, but the story keeps changing. One day it's for mining rocks, the next they are making delicious cheeses, and then they are like, oh, it's like just a big Home Depot. Wait, they really said that? Like the Home Depot part? Yeah, they did. What do you all think? Is it a secret nuclear site, or are they really into home improvement and fine cheeses? Now we're diving deep, literally, into the global seed vault. This thing is tucked away in the mountain above the Arctic Circle, between Norway and the North Pole. And no, it's not hiding oil, coal, or precious metals. It's hiding something even more valuable: seeds. Millions of seed from over 900,000 varieties of food crops are stored in the global seed vault, located in Norway's Svalbard archipelago. Sval what now? Yeah, it took me around 21 tries to get that one right. Svalbard. It's been a long day. We appreciate your perseverance. Anyway, the seed vault is basically a giant safety deposit box for seeds, in case of regional or global disasters. You know, just in case someone drops bombs on us, we'll still have something to grow and eat. The vault is 120 meters deep inside a sandstone mountain with advanced security systems, and the seeds are packed in these special foil packets that keep them safe pretty much forever. The facility is run by the Nordic Genetic Resource Center, but they only open the vault to make deposits. No one actually works there full time. They picked spilled bark because it's perfect. No tectonic activity, solid permafrost, and 130 meters above sea level. So even if the ice caps melt, the seed stays dry. While the press hypes it as a failsafe for global catastrophes, it's actually used more often when regular seed banks lose their collections due to accidents, mismanagements, or war. War destroys seed banks? Yep. The National Seed Bank of the Philippines was wrecked by a flood, then destroyed by fire. Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, they've all lost seed banks to war. But thanks to the global seed vault, a lot of these seeds were recovered. Alright, ending on a high note. I like that. We try. What do you all think? Is the global seed vault the ultimate insurance policy? Or do you think it's just preparing for a worst case scenario that may never come? Now the last one on the list is really tight on security, more than the Pentagon, and one of the most secretive places on Earth, the Vatican Archives. 53 miles of shelving, 35,000 volumes, millions of pages going back 1200 years, all housed in the heart of one of the most iconic institutions on the planet. The stuff of legends, books, and a lot of wild theories. But here's the thing, it's absolutely real. The Vatican's apostolic archives aren't just a myth, they exist. However, access? That's another story. Only a select few scholars get to peek inside, and even then, the documents have to be at least 75 years old before anyone can see them. Why 75 years? Afraid we might spill the beans on something too juicy? Well, let's just say the church has its reasons. Some of the documents are fascinating though. We're talking about Henry VIII's request for marriage annulment, a transcript from Galileo's trial, and even letters from Michelangelo complaining that he wasn't paid for painting the Sistine Chapel. Wait, they stiffed Michelangelo on his bill? Apparently so. Even Michelangelo had to chase down his paycheck. The secrecy has led some crazy conspiracy theories about what's really hidden in there. And we are gonna dive into a few. Of course, what are you waiting for? Sure. One of the wilder theories claims the Vatican is hiding proof that Jesus didn't exist. It gets wilder. Another theory suggests the Vatican has evidence of extraterrestrials and that the Pope is secretly working with aliens to implant us with microchips. What? Wait, there's more. There is actually this theory about a device called the chronovisor. It's supposedly a machine that lets the operator view past and future events. It was allegedly invented by an Italian priest scientist who was trying to find proof of the crucifixion. Chronovisor? Sounds like something straight out of a YouTube video. Right? Oh, and the archives are said to contain the 3 secrets of Fatima, which supposedly predict the end of the world. Aliens, secret machines, and world-ending prophecies. That's some weird book collections. Exactly. Speaking of, some folks believe the Vatican itself is part of the Illuminati. Naturally, it's always the Illuminati. But here's one theory that actually turned out to be true. The Vatican archives contain documents that absolved the Knight Templar of crimes against the church. The Chinon parchment, discovered in 2001, proved that the Pope Clement V absolved Templars of heresy in 1308. It was made public in 2007, and it reads like an episode of Law & Order SVU. Oh, Law & Order, Vatican City. Exactly. If you want to check it out, we'll link the full text in the description. And if you want a full video about any of the places we mentioned, let us know in the comments. We might just get into that. Should we even be talking about this right now? You're getting terrified. I was fine until the last story. Maybe we should cut this one out. It's too late for that. But you know what they say. What's that? We all have secrets, don't we? The Bermuda Triangle, often called the Devil's Triangle, is this infamous area of water in the North Atlantic. You can draw it out on a map, forming a triangle between Miami, San Juan, and Bermuda. This place has become legendary for the mysterious disappearances of ships, planes, and people. Over the past 2 centuries, the intrigue has only grown with each incident. So what is this all about? I think this needs a deep dive. Are you ready? Let's get right into it. Hey, I'm excited to dive into the story because it gets really juicy. Our journey starts way back in 1492 with Christopher Columbus. Yep, the same Columbus who discovered America. As Columbus sailed through this area, he noted some really strange occurrences in his detailed journal. On September 13, 1492, he wrote about his compass behaving oddly. At night, the needle turned a half point northwest, and by morning it had turned even more northwest. If this wasn't creepy enough, he also described seeing a strange light moving up and down in the distance, like a wax candle. Imagine being out in the open sea in the 15th century and seeing something like that. It's no wonder this place has a reputation for weirdness. Moving forward a few centuries to 1606, there's the case of a large English ship that wrecked near Bermuda after encountering a massive hurricane. This event wasn't exactly mysterious, just a tragic case of bad weather. However, it left a lasting impression on people. This shipwreck is even believed to have inspired Shakespeare's play, The Tempest, where Bermuda is referred as being vexed or cursed. Imagine the cultural impact of a single shipwreck, weaving its way into the most famous plays in history. Then we have this eerie tale from 1881. A ship sailing from Liverpool to New York City reported encountering a ghost ship with no one on board. The reports vary, but the general story is that some of the crew from the Liverpool ship decided to board the ghost ship. A massive storm hit, separating the 2 ships. When they reconnected the next day, there was no trace of the crew that had boarded the ghost ship. Spooky, right? If it's true, then it's one of the stories that sends a chill down your spine. But the 20th century is when things really start to heat up. In 1918, the USS Cyclops, one of the largest ships in the US Navy, disappeared without a trace while traveling from Brazil to Maryland. This ship was carrying 300 men and a load of manganese ore. Despite having a capability to send disaster signals, the Cyclops never sent any SOS. No wreckage was ever found, leading to wild speculation. One article from the Time said, usually a wooden bucket or a cork life preserver identified as belonging to a lost ship is picked up after a wreck, but not so with the Cyclops. She just disappeared, as though some gigantic monster of the sea had grabbed her men and all and sent her into the depths of the ocean. The Navy even called it one of the most baffling mysteries in the annals of the Navy. Can you imagine the fear and confusion this must have caused? In 1941, the USS Proteus, carrying 58 passengers and a cargo of metal, suddenly vanished within the Bermuda Triangle. Just a month later, another Navy ship disappeared with 61 people on board. These incidents are enough to make anyone start to wonder if there is really something strange going on in this part of the ocean. Then came 1945, the year when unsuspicious about the Bermuda Triangle really started to take off. A group of World War II airplanes, known as Flight 19, were conducting a 3-hour training exercise over the area. These planes were supposed to fly a triangular route over the Grand Bahama Island and then return to their base in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. However, they never returned. The flight leader reported that his compass was malfunctioning and they were lost. Despite extensive searches, no traces of the planes or their crews was ever found. The disappearance didn't stop there. In 1948, a long-haul flight with 25 passengers and 6 crew members vanished without a trace. in the triangle. A year later, another plane of the same model disappeared under similar circumstances. Over the years, more than 70 mysterious disappearances have been recorded in this small patch of ocean. It's enough to make you think twice about flying or sailing through there. The term Bermuda Triangle was coined in 1964 by writer Vincent Gadish. In an article, Gadish highlighted the unnaturally high number of disappearances in this relatively small area, suggesting that these incidents were far beyond the laws of chance. This idea captured the public imagination, sparking countless books, documentaries, and articles. 10 years later, a book titled The Bermuda Triangle by Charles Perlitz was published, diving deep into the mysteries of the triangle. Perlitz proposed that something much bigger was at play, suggesting that the Bermuda Triangle was a gateway to a dimension or affected by remnants of an ancient civilization. He talked about magnets, crystal, and even wormholes. The book sold over 14 million copies and was translated into 22 languages. Despite being riddled with errors, this shows just how much people love a good mystery. Or was it really filled with chilling facts? But hold on, let's bump up the brakes a bit. Despite all these sensational stories, there are some serious scientific hypotheses about these happening in Bermuda Triangle. These range from geomagnetic disturbances affecting navigational instruments, remember Columbus, to methane gas blowouts from the ocean floor, causing massive underwater explosions. These explosions could create a great crater that might swallow ships. Hurricanes and rogue waves are also plausible. Explanation given the triangle's location in the storm-prone Caribbean. Yet, even as these scientific explanations sound plausible, the real story might be simpler and less sensational. A comprehensive data analysis over 20 years reveals that the Bermuda Triangle isn't even in the top 10 most dangerous ocean regions. In fact, only 0.02% of vessels passing through the triangle in 2021 had accidents, compared to a global average of 1.8%. That's a significantly lower rate. So what does this all mean? While the Bermuda Triangle continues to captivate our imagination with tales of mysterious disappearances, the evidence suggests it's no more dangerous than any other part of the ocean. This highlights the power of storytelling and our fascination with the unknown. People love a good mystery, and the Bermuda Triangle delivers that in spades. But here's the thing. The allure of the Bermuda Triangle is a perfect example of how storytelling can overshadow the truth. The human brain is wired to find patterns and make sense of the world through stories. This is why we get intoxicated by tales of ghost ships, mysterious disappearances, and ancient civilization. It's thrilling, it's eerie, and it's engaging. However, it's crucial to balance these stories with facts and evidence. Let's take a step back and look at this critically. What we need is regular scientific inquiry and evidence-based research. We have an amazing tool for understanding reality: data. By collecting and analyzing vast amount of data, we can see patterns and trends that our brains might miss or misinterpret. For example, Lloyd's List, a shipping publication, spends months aggregating data on marine casualties. They found that globally 1.8% of vessels experience some form of casualty. In the Bermuda Triangle, out of 8,634 boats that passed through in 2021, only 2 experienced accidents. That's 0.02%. This kind of data-driven approach helps us see the truth more clearly from the distortion of sensational stories. So while the Bermuda Triangle makes for great storytelling, the reality is far less mysterious. It's a reminder of the importance of critical thinking and the power of data. By focusing on evidence and scientific explanation, we can demystify the Bermuda Triangle and see it for what it really is, a fascinating but ultimately an ordinary part of our world. Let's appreciate the stories and the mysteries for their entertainment value, but also commit to seeking the truth. The Bermuda Triangle is a testament to the power of storytelling and our collective imagination. It's a cultural phenomenon that continues to captivate us, but it's also a reminder that not everything that glitters is gold. Thank you for being part of this journey. Let's keep exploring, questioning, and seeking out the truth together. Whether it's the Bermuda Triangle or any other mystery, let's balance our love for stories with a commitment to understanding the world as it truly is. Let's try and see it from multiple perspectives. Find the truth behind it, or at least what started the mystery. That's all I could find about the Bermuda Triangle. Tell me what do you think about it in the comments section below. If you have found this video entertaining, please leave a thumbs up. All heard about the Bermuda Triangle, right? Over the past 60 years, about 50 ships and 20 planes have mysteriously crashed or just vanished over the Atlantic. We already made a video about it. You can find it in the links below. But have you ever heard of the Nevada Triangle? It's much more smaller than the Bermuda Triangle, and believe it or not, way more dangerous. I'm not talking about 20 planes here, or even 200. Wait, more than 200? That's crazy! Exactly. In the past 60 years, the Nevada Triangle has claimed a staggering 2,000 aircraft. But what's really eerie is just the sheer numbers of crashes. It's the fact that nobody seems to talk about it. This region of the Sierra Nevada mountains, nestled between Nevada and California, has seen around 2,000 planes just in sprawling 25,000 square mile area of mountain desert. Many of these crash sites remain unknown, which is just wild. The triangle is generally defined as stretching from Las Vegas, Nevada in the southeast of Fresno, California in the west and up to Reno, Nevada at the top. But here's the big question. What's up with all these disappearances? Who owns the land in the Nevada Triangle? Well, most of it belongs to the United States government. And what's that little spot right there, northwest of Vegas? That's Area 51. Area 51? Oh great, guess what we need? Alien involvement. So when did the plane start disappearing? The first report goes all the way back to 1938. And do you know when Area 51 was opened? Let me guess, 1938? You got it. They began their research in 1938. Interesting, right? But it's not just planes that vanish, it's also people. May I have my hat, please? Here you go. Thank you. See? Even my producer agrees. This is getting a bit strange, don't you think? These disappearances aren't just about casual civilian pilots who got lost. Most of the missing planes were flown by experienced pilots who vanished under mysterious circumstances, with wreckage never found. In many cases, these pilots were highly trained Air Force professionals, flying state-of-the-art military aircraft. So you're telling me these are Top Guns gone missing like socks in a dryer? I like that metaphor. One of the most famous cases involved renowned aviator Steve Fawcett, who disappeared in 2007. His vanishing sparked a massive search operation, which led to the discovery of 8 additional wrecks. And let me tell you, Fawcett was no weekend warrior. This guy held world records for solo glider fights and even circled the globe in a hot air balloon. He also was an expert in cross-country skiing, mountain climbing, ultramarathon, you name it, he did it. So if anyone could survive anything, it was definitely Steve Fawcett. But on September 3rd, while flying his single-engine plane over Nevada's Great Basin Desert, he took off and simply never returned. After a major search effort that lasted over a month, he was declared dead. Then, the following year, a hiker found Fawcett's ID cards, and just a few days later, the crash site was located about 65 miles from where he took off. They also found 2 bones about half a mile from the crash site, which were later confirmed to belong to Steve Fawcett. But where are the rest of his remains? Well, we are not really sure. Most likely animals got to them, or maybe aliens scavenged them. Honestly, at this point, who knows? Animals or aliens? Well, I would definitely say aliens. Speaking of mysteries, one of the first planes lost in the triangle was a B-24 bomber that crashed in 1943. This bomber with full crew was on a routine night training mission taking off from Hammerfield in Fresno. It was supposed to fly from California to Tucson, but it never made it, gone without a trace. An extensive search began the next day, with 9 B-424 bombers sent out to find the missing plane, but instead of locating it, another bomber went missing. It just vanished into thin air. Then in 1955, when the Huntington Lake Reservoir was drained for repairs to the dam, guess what? They found it. The investigation into the second bomber stated that had experienced high wind turbulence and started losing hydraulic pressure. When the captain spotted what looked like to be a snow-covered clearing, he ordered his crew to bail out. But the two soldiers who parachuted in survived and reported that the lake wasn't frozen at all. When the plane was finally found, it was resting 190 feet below the water, with its 5 crew members still on board. Meanwhile, Clinton Hister, the father of the co-pilot of the first missing bomber, embarked on a private search for his son that lasted 14 long years. Sadly, when he died in 1959, he still hadn't found any evidence of his son or the plane. A year later, geological researchers working in a remote part of the desert stumbled upon wreckage in an unnamed lake. Army investigators confirmed that to be the wreckage of the first missing bomber, piloted by 2nd Lieutenant Willis TRV and co-piloted by the 2nd Lieutenant Rupert Huster. That lake is now known as Hister Lake, a lake named after someone who couldn't find his son. Talk about adding insult to injury, right? It's like this triangle just keeps claiming lives and stories. Another crazy story happened in 1957. On May 9th, Air Force Lieutenant David Steves was piloting a T-3 training jet, taking off from Hamilton Air Force near San Francisco on a flight to Arizona, but then poof, the plane disappeared without a trace. After a thorough search, the Air Force declared the 23-year-old pilot officially dead. 54 days later, he reappeared, gaunt and dressed in tattered clothing. He made his way to a camp in the backcountry of Kings Canyon National Park of East Fresno. He claimed something exploded in the plane, so he ejected and used his parachute to keep warm after injuring himself during the landing. He crawled over 20 miles in freezing temperatures for 15 days without food or shelter. Eventually, he stumbled upon an abandoned cabin where he found a few cans of food and some fishing gear. According to him, he survived by fishing and hunting with his pistol. But here's where it gets sketchy. Some people questioned his story, even speculating that he sold his plane to the Russians. Steves always maintained that he was telling the truth, but he died only a few years later, leaving his story in doubt. So what really happened? Well, 20 years later, Boy Scouts on a hike found the canopy of his jet, so it turns out Steves was telling the truth. But the rest of his plane still hasn't been found. Now, on October 4th, 1941, 5 military aircraft went down in one day. One of the pilots was Lieutenant Leonard C. Lydon, who parachuted to safety after his squadron got lost over the mountains. He said his P-40 fell within a mile of where he landed, in Kings Canyon National Park. Did they find his plane? Nope. It gets weirder. Another famous case involves Charles Ogle, a wealthy real estate developer who took off from Oakland, California in August 1964 but vanished on his way to Las Vegas. Now, he was a Marine Corps trained pilot, but he was never seen or heard from again. And his plane? No sign of it. Seriously, this triangle needs to chill. It's like a magician hats at this point. Things just keep disappearing, right? It feels like we're unraveling a bizarre conspiracy, but trust me, it gets even crazier. On July 11, 1986, Major Ross Mulhern flew an F-117 into a mountain near Bakersfield, California, and the cause of the crash has never been officially revealed. What do you mean officially? Like the government just shrugged it off? Well, congressional sources have suggested he was flying an experimental aircraft designed with special materials and structural features. What do you mean structural features? Disc shape, perhaps? Maybe, we still don't know. The classified design is all black by Lockheed Martin. Huh. So what's causing all these aircraft to go missing within the Nevada Triangle? Some claim the area's unique climate creates a special type of atmosphere, a condition that actually rip off aircraft from the sky. Take the Steve Fossett case, for example. Some believe condition created a 650 kph downdraft at the most. His aircraft could only climb at 500 kph. That speed difference meant that he had no chance of surviving. If that's true, how did the investigation not find any mechanical issues with the plane? Exactly. If that's not what happened, then what was it? And why have so many other aircrafts disappeared in the same area? Conspiracy theorists claim the reason the many flights vanished has something to do with Area 51, where the Air Force known to test secret prototype aircraft. So we're saying the government got a hidden fleet of top secret planes doing their thing and they're just snatching other planes? Could be, but most experts believe the disappearances are tied to the geography and atmospheric conditions in the area. The Sierra Nevada mountains run perpendicular to the jet stream, creating volatile, unpredictable winds and intense downdrafts. This weather phenomenon is often referred to as the mountain wave, where planes can be seemingly ripped from the sky and crash to the ground. Ripped from the sky? That sounds terrifying! I'd be terrified too. And when it comes to why so many crash sites are never located, it's likely due to the complex, rugged terrain and dense vegetation. During the search for Fawcett, they discovered 8 other crash sites, showing that there are probably many more out there, hidden within the peaks and valleys of the Sierra Nevada mountains. But here's the kicker. Could it be something else entirely? Like what? More conspiracies? Who knows? Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, and the Sierra Nevada just might hold its own secrets. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. Drop a like and tell us what you think about today's episode in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. My name is Jeff, and this has been another episode of Mysteries Unravel. See you in the next one.